The Quest 3 was revealed, and while we still don't know all of its specs, we have an idea of a few, so I'm going to discuss those in this video, as well as talk about reasons why you might not want to buy this headset and buy the Quest Pro instead. So, let's get into it. For some time now, there have been Quest 3 leaks regarding possible specs, what it will look like, etc., etc., from various sources who have shown themselves in the past to be quite reliable. So when Zuckerberg unveiled the Quest 3 around the time frame of the Quest Gaming Showcase, I was not really surprised by its appearance, which pretty much aligned to the leaks. Since then, Andrew Bosworth did an AMA on Instagram where he kind of answered questions about the Quest 3, giving us more ideas of what to expect. And currently you can find the Quest 3 listed on Best Buy, so let's get into what we know and my feelings on it. Obviously, we are starting with its engine, aka the chip that powers it, which will be the Qualcomm Snapdragon XR2 Gen 2 chip. This should provide a nice bump in power versus the Quest 2, which is running the XR2 Gen 1 variant, and the Quest Pro, which is running the XR2 Plus Gen 1 variant. No word yet on how much RAM this thing will have. For controllers, I had been seeing images floating around for some time, and frankly I thought they had gone and given the Quest 3 the Quest Pro controllers because they looked exactly like the Pro controllers, but it turns out that's not the case. The Quest 3 controllers don't have your typical tracking ring with IR sensors in it, but as it turns out the controllers will still have IR sensors.
So the new controllers that we have still have infrared LEDs on them. In a constellation that you can't see because you can't see infrared light, but that the cameras that we have on the headset can see. However, they also are going to be in positions where many of those LEDs are occluded. And so we have fused the computer vision we were using for constellation tracking with our hand models. So the hand tracking is also going to kind of running at the same time. And so we have a model of your hand and it tells us where the controller is in conjunction with all the tech tricks we've been using for a long time, using IMUs and smoothing to fill in gaps.
This is an interesting concept, and in Bosworth's AMA he says they work really good, but I'm not confident that initially these will be released without issues. A good example that drives my doubt is the Quest Pro controllers. They've been out for some time now, and all the way up to V54, the controllers were still experiencing issues. Those issues appear to have been resolved with the V54 update, and I'm now quite happy with how they perform, but using that as an example, I fully expect there to be issues with this new system of tracking the controllers, at least initially. And over time, they will work out the bugs. If this is the case, the question is, how long will it take to work out the bugs? Now the upside is you will be able to use the Quest Pro controllers with the Quest 3 just like you can with the Quest 2. So if you're not happy with the quality of the Quest 3 controllers, you will have that option. Is this an argument for the Quest Pro over the Quest 3? Sure, but it's a very minor one, as you can still buy the Quest Pro controllers for $300 to use with the Quest 2. But now you're talking almost on par price-wise as the Quest Pro. So I'm moving on to FOV, or field of view, as this is one of those features I personally value the most. If you were to ask me to rank headset specs, for me it's FOV first, resolution second, and size third, with everything else bringing up the rear. To the question of does the Quest 3 have more FOV than the Quest 2, Bosworth answers it's roughly the same field of view. Now I measured the FOV of my Quest 2 at 90 degrees horizontal and 96 degrees vertical, so if the Quest 3 is roughly the same as the Quest 2, you can expect its FOV to be somewhere in that ballpark. I'm actually disappointed with this answer, as I was hoping that since the Quest 3 was going to be using pancake lenses, and since the Quest Pro uses pancake lenses, and since I measured 102 degrees horizontal and 104 degrees vertical on the Pro, that we get at least 100 degrees vertical and horizontal on the Quest 3. Now, short of the Quest 3's picture just absolutely taking Quest Pros to the cleaner, this FOV difference is a strong case for the Quest Pro, at least for someone like me who values FOV and can't see myself going back to something with less. Moving on to resolution, while we don't have anything confirmed yet from Meta regarding the Quest 3, we have some clues that give us a pretty good idea of what it will be. The Quest 3 is currently listed on Best Buy, which is currently saying that the Quest 3 will see a 30% increase of its resolution versus the Quest 2. Some of those Quest 3 leaks I mentioned earlier had a resolution of 2064 by 2208, and a 30% increase of the Quest 2's resolution comes pretty darn close to that. So I'm comfortable presuming moving forward that 2064 by 2208 will be roughly the Quest 3's resolution. While that number is greater than the Quest Pro's advertised resolution of 1800 by 1920, there's more to the picture quality with the Quest Pro than just that raw number. So I'm going to have to see these two devices side by side before I'm comfortable drawing any conclusions on which has the better image. Regarding refresh rate, those aforementioned leaks also said Quest 3 out of the box 120 Hz or something to that effect. And since it's looking like the leaked resolution may be correct, it may be safe to assume that this is also correct, which is a big win for the Quest 3 as a refresh rate of 120 makes for some really smooth gaming. The Quest Pro only offers a max 90 Hz. Pass-through was another question posed to Bosworth during that AMA, with the question being pass-through comparison from the Quest Pro to the Quest 3 or something to that effect.
The Quest 3 is better in mixed reality, and the reason for that is we have two higher resolution color cameras on the Quest 3. To my last answer, initially with the Quest Pro, we had this other vision of how we would colorize that we felt was okay, but it wasn't as good as what we ended up landing on there. So Quest Pro still has great mixed reality, still has great access to the Presence platform, but it will be slightly improved on Quest 3 from a Presence platform standpoint and dramatically improved in terms of the user experience of the clarity that you get of your surroundings.
So basically, with those high quality cameras and the depth sensor which the Quest 3 will have, expect the pass-through experience to be quite good, which is a great news for those interested in mixed reality applications and a big win for the Quest 3 over the Quest Pro, as the Quest Pro really has a bad pass-through. The Quest 3 is reported to be 40% smaller than the Quest 2, but when asked about the weight of it, Bosworth said it's about the same as the Quest 2, but feels more comfortable as the weight is held more closely into the face, so not as much downward pressure versus the Quest 2. This makes sense to me, as I found my experience with the Quest Pro to be the same. While it doesn't weigh less, and it can weigh more, it's more comfortable to wear as it's more compact to the face. One of my beefs with the Quest 2 and the Quest Pro is that to adjust the IPD, you have to manually move the lenses themselves. Now with the Quest 3, it appears there will be an actual knob to adjust the IPD with. More good news with the Quest 3, I was concerned initially looking at its head strap as it appeared with a Type-C port built into the side of it. Third-party upgrades might be out of the question, as they pretty much are with the Quest Pro. But when asked this, Bosworth said,
I love the idea of custom headbands. I think we've got an interface on the Quest 3 that is certainly one that is adaptable for people who are inclined to do such a thing.
So yes, third-party head straps will still be a thing, and if we are lucky, might even be able to reuse some of the ones we have for the Quest 2. But we will see on that one. It's not all good news with the Quest 3 though. If you are someone who wants face and eye tracking, the Quest 3 will not have this feature. The obvious reason for not including it is cost. They are wanting to keep the cost of this headset down, and if they included that feature, the cost would have increased. When asked how long before facial expressions can be shown in the metaverse with a non-business VR headset, Bosworth said,
"It's going to be a little while. It's going to be years. The reason is simple. All those extra cameras and the compute power required to actually do the face geometry and the recognition just has a lot of trade-offs with it. And one of the main trade-offs is cost."
I'm seeing that this decision to exclude this feature was very controversial, with some saying it was a mistake. But you can't have everything your heart desires at $500, so I understand it. I expect this feature to remain something that separates the pro devices from the consumer devices, which brings me to something else I've heard nothing about, whether the Quest 3 will have a Wi-Fi 6E support or not. Some speculation I've seen says it will because it's getting a new chip, so why wouldn't it? But I wonder. I would not be in the least bit surprised if it doesn't, and that Wi-Fi 6E remains something you find on pro devices but not consumer devices. Mainly I lean towards this opinion because there needs to be some reason a person would buy a more expensive device over a cheaper one. If the Quest 3 was this all-around amazing device, why would anyone buy a Pro? I hope this isn't the case, as I absolutely love the 6E support on my Quest Pro, but time will tell if I am wrong or not. The expectation is that Meta will officially announce the release of the Quest 3 at Connect, which is sometime around September 27th, at which time we will learn all the nitty-gritty on it. Connect, though, is still months away, so should you wait for it? If you have nothing and just want to experience VR, I'd say no. Buy a Quest 2 at $300 and see if you even like VR and go from there. Because 4 to 5 months is a long time to wait for something that you might not even like. If you already have a Quest 2 and are debating getting the Quest Pro, it's not as cut and dry for me. The resolution increase on paper doesn't really tell me all I need to know, as the Pico 4 has a resolution of 2160 by 2160, and I personally find the experience of both the Pico 4 and the Quest Pro to be visually about the same. The increase of one versus the other is not really big enough to matter to me. FOV, on the other hand, is. If the Quest 3 really does have an FOV similar to the Quest 2, well, this about kills it for me. I can't see myself going back to something with a Quest 2 FOV unless the visual experience was absolutely stellar and mind-blowing, which I'm not sure the Quest 3's will be. And of course, if you're someone who really wants face and eye tracking, well, choice is made for you. Pro it is. Ultimately, you're going to have to take what we know so far and make a decision. I know I personally bought the Quest Pro, and I love it, and I have no regrets. And in 5 months, I'll just buy the Quest 3 as well. But that's me. What about you? What are your thoughts on the Quest 3? Tell me in the comments below.